Hey guys, how's it going? Steve Wilcox here from Final Form Studios, and really happy you guys could be a part of the group here learning Unreal Engine for filmmakers. So we're just going to kind of dive into it. Going to do just going to kind of talk about what we're going to be learning in today's lesson here. Just going to pop into So here. So we're just going to kind of go over like the topics. So we're going to kind of do like an introduction. We're going to show you how to download Unreal Engine through the launcher. We're going to go to the marketplace. I'm going to show you some of my favorite kind of blockout tools. We've got Super Grid. We're going to show you City Sample and Metal Humans, just as like a very brief overview. And then I'm just going to show you guys some of my favorite plugins in the marketplace. Ultra Dynamic Sky, Oceanology, and there's Miwa. They do awesome level designs. So we're going to download Unreal Engine, and then we're going to kind of go through the different project types, and then we're going to jump into a third-person project, just kind of navigating through Unreal Engine 5 in the interface there. And then we're going to jump into a third person. We're going to walk around, just get a very brief idea of kind of like that interface, and then we're going to be looking at some of the basics. And then we're going to show, if you're used to like the 4.27, we'll show you where that kind of user interface is. Then we're going to open up a Super Grids project. It's really good for blockout, one of my favorites to work with. And then we're going to be adding content to our project and teaching you guys a little bit about migrating. Oops. And then, so we're going to just start with the basic blockout with the mannequin, and we're going to be adding a camera. And then we're just going to do a very brief introduction to sequencer, a brief introduction to lighting. We're going to talk about skyline, point light, and spotlight. And so we're going to just kind of jump into that. Okay. So if you go on to the Epic Games, and if you don't have Unreal Engine already installed, you can just go to the top right corner here and download it. That's gonna download the Epic Games launcher. So I've already downloaded that, so I'm not gonna go into that. So I'm just gonna close that. And so the Epic Games launcher, the icon is gonna look a little bit like this here. And then when you open it up, you're gonna get this interface here. And so just kind of like a brief overview of the this here. So we have like the news. This is just kind of like updates in Unreal Engine. They got this really cool, the creating in Fortnite is a pretty big update that kind of came out. This one's really cool for the free control rig and mannequin assets. This is really good for animating. We might jump into that. You got this really cool Old West theme here you can download for free. And so each month also there's like free assets, so you definitely want to grab those. Here they have a lot of like State of Unreal, some of the updates that happen at GDC. What else we got here? So sometimes there's like people on like Twitch and Slack, Unreal Slackers. If you guys have any questions, you can always post up on the Discord over there. And I think for now that's about it. So that's the news. And then over here we have samples. Takes a little bit to load sometimes. So these are two like the samples packs in Unreal Engine 5. The city sample is absolutely amazing. This one takes a little bit to load up. So so from the marketplace, just type in city sample and type that in, and then this should come up, and then it takes, I don't know, about 30 minutes to sometimes an hour to kind of get this one up and running. So make yourself a coffee. This MetaHumans project is really good to kind of get started. This one's really good for in-camera VFX. I'm not going to be going too much into that for this one, but it is there if you guys want to check it out. The Meerkat demo, really like that one. A virtual studio for doing, just like if you have green screen and presentations. This one's a really good one here. And Valley of the Ancient. This one was one of the first Unreal Engine 5 demos that I played. You get to play as this character here. You can walk around, and it's a really good chance to kind of see Lumen in action. Lumen at the time worked really good for like foliage, and so we got a lot of things. Unreal has like a lot of options here for you just to kind of get started. So yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna also go into the marketplace. Oops. I have one project also loading up here, so don't mind this. I'm gonna well, this is the super grid pack level that we're gonna kind of go into a little bit later. So here in the marketplace, okay, so here in the marketplace, just give you guys kind of like a brief tour. This is our home. So these are some like the new ones that have just kind of come out. One of the things I like to kind of point out, so if you go into free and free for the month, so every month Epic Games kind of releases some new free assets. So these are the ones here that are offered this month, so make sure you guys get these before they run out. So yeah, they also have, you can kind of search by industry. We've got architecture, automotive, transportation, fashion, film, broadcast, live events, training and simulation, and then free. They got lots of goodies here from Megascans, which we'll go into. They have Bridge, which is goes directly into Unreal Engine now with Unreal Engine 5, which is amazing. We've got the on sale stuff. So yeah, so plenty of like really a lot of good stuff here. One of the ones I wanted to kind of show you, type in Supergrid. So Supergrid starter pack. So I really like this one, so I'd encourage you guys to download this. So we're going to be using this for our level blockout. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to click create project. So I've already done it, so I just click on that. What were some of the other ones we wanted to look into? Right, Oceanology. This one is a little pricey, but it's really nice. We'll kind of go into that one a little bit later. But yeah, Oceanology is a really great one to get. Ultra Dynamic Sky. I really, I also really like this one. It's just the kind of like a drag and drop sky function. So definitely go and check that one out. So in terms of like photorealistic landscapes, one of the ones I really like is the MIWI, United GmbH. These guys do some really beautiful work. The Redwood Forest, this one's one of the ones I also really like. Yeah, so they got a lot of really good stuff. It's a little pricey, but definitely worth it. Absolutely, it's really photoreal. It's very nice. Another one I really like is Brushify pack. So yeah, I bought a few of these ones. Yeah, they got the tropical, the Arctic pack, and the dunes. Got some really nice stuff here. They've got some really good alpha brushes in here, and yeah, very quick to kind of make levels. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, so kind of went over our favorite plugins, and then yeah, so next is we're gonna have to download. So if you go into your library, I've already downloaded Unreal Engine 5, but if you haven't done so already, click on engine version, hit the plus, and then you can just download the ones that are available. So you're going to want to hit right here, it's going to be download, and so you're going to want to do that. It's going to take a little bit of time, so yeah, just kick back and yeah, make yourself a coffee, and yeah, so just check that out. Okay, so now once we've downloaded Unreal Engine, let's kind of jump into it. So we're going to talk now about the project types. So if we're going to go ahead, we're going to launch Unreal Engine 5. Okay, so now that this is loaded up, we can look at the recent projects. Those will kind of end up here. Games, we have a few types that we can kind of play with, and yeah, I encourage you guys just to check all of these out, just kind of have a chance to kind of get in and play around with it. I typically go for the third person. I just like to kind of like look around. The vehicle one is also pretty fun. This is for like the LED virtual production and like the in-camera VFX. We do some green screen stuff here. This is also great. architecture. It gives a few ArcViz examples. AR, if you're kind of doing that, this is a good way to start off. The automotive production design and manufacturing. Yeah, so this is really good for product. Yeah, I haven't really used this one too much, but yeah, should definitely check out. And simulation, I haven't played with this one yet either, but if you guys are into simulations and you find out some cool stuff, yeah, please let me know. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into games, and then we're going to click on to third person, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to call this third person. So then we're going to go create this. Okay, so now we have the third person map, and we're gonna see kind of this interface. And so if you're used to kind of using 4.27, you come into 5 and it looks a little bit different. What you can do if you're feeling a little uncomfortable, you can go to load layout and then a UE4 classic layout. You guys can click on this. This is kind of like where I'm most comfortable because I'm still kind of in the transition period, but for now I'll stick with this one here. So right away you can just see playing this level. So just to have like a little fun, you hit the play, and then you guys will be during runtime. So you have the keys WASD, and you can kind of just, and we've got spacebar to jump. You can just kind of walk around. So it's really good for just kind of yeah, just walking around your level, have a little fun, just kind of get used to I don't know, the controls and just walking around. So that's pretty cool. Cool. And then if you want to escape, you just hit escape. So I'm gonna just go a little bit over the just like an overview of kind of like the Unreal Engine 5 interface. So I'm going to kind of go over that. Okay, so here in the content browser menu, these are kind of like the files and folders and the structures that we have over here. And then we've got the save, we've got these over here. And then this is the world outliner. So everything in, also to hit like right click, this is to kind of move around. So if I hit right click and kind of move the mouse around, and then we got W, and then if you hold right mouse button and then W, it moves you forward, S, A, D. So as long as you're holding right click, you can kind of navigate. And then we've got E to kind of move up, and then Q to kind of go down. So so just to kind of like get used to kind of like navigating through Unreal Engine. So we got right click, we're gonna hold that, and then A, S, D, W, Q, and E. So now we're able to kind of move around, and yeah. And so if you click anything in your scene, the little gizmo is going to kind of pop up, and you can kind of move it side to side. And then if you hit spacebar, we can toggle between you know, moving it, rotating it, and scaling it. So if I hit move, we've done that one, rotation, and scale. So we can move, rotation, and scale. And if you guys want to, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit out here. So if I go back to rotation here, and then if I cycle this, so sometimes this this little gizmo can be kind of at a funny angle, and so you can cycle through the different systems that it has. So if it's how do I explain this? Okay, so this here, we can cycle through like the world. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit up here. So this one here is just, we can kind of cycle through using spacebar. So you can either hit these, or you can hit spacebar, whichever you choose. So when you hit spacebar, it kind of goes through these. And then this cycles the transform gizmo and the coordinate system. So see how this is a little bit, this cube is a little bit to the side. So right now it's aligned to the grid system here, but if I click this, it's going to be aligned to the object. So that's just it's kind of nice to have that. And then this is like for snapping to the grid. So if I take that off, it's going to be kind of like move very free. And then, but if I click this on, it's going to kind of go in like increments. So go in 5. Oops, that's too big. So it's going to kind of do big jumps like that. But I go say 100. So it's going to go in meter increments. And then the angle, if I turn that off, you can do very, very precise angles. But if I turn that on, it's going to go in 10 degrees. And this is for the scaling. And then this one here, for the camera, if I want to go really fast, yeah, it's a little too fast for me. So that's 8. Back to 4. This is a nice little key to have. So if I hit F, it'll just kind of snap me to the object that we're working on. So if you get like really, really far out with your camera, and then I can just hit F and it'll snap me back. Cool. And then, so over here in like the place actors, so we've got a bunch of stuff in here. So it's going to go into shapes. So if I drag and drop, I can pop a cube in here. Just going to take those guys off. I'm going to switch this back to 5. So I'm going to put my cube in here. Just kind of move that around. I got a sphere, cone, I got a cylinder, I got a plane, got this stuff in here. Yeah, and then this here, we just shows like lit. This is like unlit, so if you got really crazy lighting in your level, this just kind of helps to work things in lit. We got our perspective here, so this is perspective, and then we got from top view. Kind of lost my stuff here, so you can use scroll wheel to zoom out, and here you can kind of just see things from a top view. Got wireframe, got lit if we want. We got like the different outlet here. So we got like the different perspectives. So you go back to perspective and lit. Cool. All right, so we talked about the outliner, and this would be a good chance to start to talk about folder structure. So we've got the third person map here. So I'm gonna hit right click, I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm gonna call this one 1, and then I got build. Right click. 2, I got camera. 3, animation. Cool. So I can take all of these here. I'm going to put those into build. Put these guys into build. And these guys can go to build here. Playground. Heading. F2. And we got lighting. Cool. Let's do one more. There we go. So yeah, it's really important to keep your folders organized and structured and named properly, and I'll be kind of going through that quite a bit through that course, because once you have your project and you've got, you're well into it. You want to make sure everything's really neat and organized, so you don't lose files. It can be pretty chaotic if you don't have like a good folder structure. So, all right, and then just go over a few more things. So when I click on an object over here, so we went over kind of the outliner here, and this is kind of like the details panels. So we got the location, rotation, and scale. So I've got that. Let's see if I can get a little closer. So I got that selected, and then if I wanted to go to switch the static mesh, I can do that. So we'll kind of be talking about that in our block also a little bit later. And then here we can change the material if we want. Load that. Okay, and then so if I hit simulate physics, this is kind of cool. Just like a fun one. I'm gonna rotate it here. And then if I go ahead and hit play, boom, we got a little cone. It's simulating physics. So that's a fun little thing you guys can play with. So if I, so also if I hit Alt and I drag from here, it'll kind of duplicate an object. So, and if I hit Shift, it means I can select a whole bunch. Hit Alt again. Cool. And now I can make it rain cones. And then my mannequin, he can also, run into them. But as you notice, only the cones are the things that are moving, because if I'm walking into this here and it's not moving, that's because simulate physics is not on. But if I click on this cube and I hit simulate physics, now when I walk into the cube, it's gonna move. And there's a lot of properties on here. So you could have like mass, we could like, oops. If I hit simulate, it's probably gonna be pretty hard to move this guy here. Yeah, so it's just like the mass is too heavy for me to move. So you can kind of play with maybe put point. Oops. Put it as 1. So now when I walk into it, it's going to be flying everywhere. So yeah, you guys can have a lot of fun just kind of like playing around with this stuff here. Cool. All right, and just so I can show you guys, so load layout, we want to go to a UE4 Classic. I'm just going to kind of dismiss. Yeah, it's going to just kind of do the classic UE4 layout. Okay, so let's see. And then, so that's just like a very, very basic, super basic overview of kind of Unreal Engine, just kind of like navigating. And now we're gonna get into the Super Grid project, and we're gonna kind of start talking briefly about blocking out some of our ideas. So I'm gonna jump out of this. All right, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click on our Super Grid starter pack that we've downloaded from the marketplace. All right, so sometimes you'll get an error, like if you click on My Projects and for whatever reason you can't just double click on it, go into All right, so now we're gonna jump into our Supergrid starter pack. So, gonna launch Unreal Engine 5.1. Gonna browse our project and Supergrid starter pack open. Okay, so now the Supergrid starter pack level has just opened up, and so we're just gonna kind of do a quick little walkthrough here, or we can just hit play. So I'm just gonna get this here. So yeah, here's just like a very brief overview of the Supergrid starter pack. There's a little bit of an example of what has already been made. And so what I like to show you guys is now how can we add, so from the previous project we had the third person starter kit, and so right now this Supergrid starter pack doesn't have that third person blueprint in here. And so if I go ahead and I hit add feature or content pack, and then I hit third person, I'm going to add that to the project. Cool. And then if I drag and drop, oops, there we go, we can see our third person character there. And now okay, so if I go into world settings here, right now the game mode is BP first person game mode. If I go ahead and I do BP third person game mode and then I hit play, third person game mode, so your character can just kind of walk around the Supergrid starter pack level and just have a little fun, just kind of like look around. It'll kind of give you some kind of notes here. So you can just kind of walk around. It kind of tells you a little bit about like kind of the shapes and whatnot that it has. So you can kind of like walk around, have some fun. Anyways, we're not going to get too much into that. So this is the pack that I usually use to get started. And so what I'll do is, so I'll go back up to content and so levels. So for levels, I'm actually going to start a new level here. So we're going to go to new level, and we're going to go to just a basic level. Don't save. All right, so we got a brand new level here, and so if I hit play, I don't have anything there. That's okay. So I'm just going to add our third person character. Where's that third person? Let's just pop our guy in here. I hit play. Oh, I'm forgetting my game mode. Third person. Yeah, third person game mode. There we go. Got a little buddy here, so we don't really need him. So when I hit play, we can walk around. So I always like having my third person just to kind of, when I'm blocking out levels, it's just nice to have like a mannequin there for scale. But I will kind of, let's delete that guy. So I'll just see the details here. So if I click on this, where is our character? So if I hit, I don't need the blueprints here, so I'll just keep this character in here as a sample. All right, so now I'm gonna talk to you guys a little bit about All right, cool. This is lighting. So this is a cool function in this level and the new ones. So if you hit Control, and it's kind of hard. You got your little pinky finger on Control and L. Yeah. So Control. If you hold Control and you hit Control and L, you can just move the sun around. It's just like as far as lighting goes, this is all we'll be doing right now for just our very, very basic level block out. So yeah, you guys can have some fun with that. So if you guys missed that, if you hit Control and then L, hold that, and you can just kind of move this around. So this is a lot of fun. So this arrow is kind of where the direction of the sun is going to be. So if I bring it down, get it kind of like a nice golden hour. Cool. Actually, I'm just going to pop that back up so it's not distracting. Okay, cool. So what we could do for our level lockout is we could use just like kind of there are these shapes here that are already available. We got these are like the classic ones, and we got the plane here also. And so what's really cool about the super grid, so if you go into super grid here, starter pack, blueprints, it's got a few really cool things that you can play with here. So I'm going to drag the super grid master, that's going to go in there, and then where was it? Right, you got this one that's the wall. So this one here can be a little bit confusing if you don't pay attention here. So when you drag this in, there's going to be 2 points. This one here on the left is going to be for kind of moving it around, and it's really hard to see, but there's this little dot here. So if you click that little dot, you can actually drag it out. So this is a really quick way for making walls in a level. And then if you go ahead and hit Alt, it's going to create another pivot point. And so I can quickly make a room using this. And so once we've got our we always want to keep our mannequin in here just for kind of scale. And then once that's done, if we hit, there's this little guy here for height, we actually kind of bring that up. It'll just raise the height of all of our walls. So we can just kind of keep that there. So that's pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to teach you guys how to just bring in a simple camera. So we have our scene camera actor, and we can kind of pop that up. And just a really easy way to kind of control this camera is we hit go on to, we'll click first default perspective, cinematic viewport, and then we'll go to cinecam actor. All right, so now we are piloting. So again, we're going to hit right click on our mouse, we're going to hold that, and then we're going to use WASD, Q and E to kind of move around. So it's moving around pretty quick. So I'm going to hit 2. All right, so now we have a camera in our scene. We got our character there, and now there's a lot of, and then we can tweak all of the settings for the camera. So right now, the current focal length is 35 millimeters. So if we wanted to kind of make it a little bit wider, we can go to, oops. Right, so if you lose your camera, you can just hit G. And so go back to our scene camera actor, and then we're piloting our camera here. So we can go to a 20 millimeter. Oh, sorry. My num lock is not working too well. Oops. Perspective, scene camera actor. 20. So we got our 20 millimeter lens. Let's bring it up. Actually, let's go to a 50 millimeter lens here. Boom. Let's get kind of like a tight shot on our actor maybe. Let's just kind of pop it in here. And so we'll get out of that. But what you can do is, if you want to have this view, but also just kind of manually kind of move the camera here, what you can do is pin preview. And so when the preview is pinned, you can kind of move it around, kind of like so, and just do kind of like micro adjustments. So what I like to do is get in with the piloting the camera first, kind of get like the general placing, and then this is just kind of for micro adjustments. Cool. So that is the wall, and then I believe there's a cool stair function. Yeah, so if we want to make some stairs, kind of the endpoint. How did I do these stairs? Oops. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, cool. So another thing I want to show you with the Super Grid Pack, it's got stair function, so you can kind of rotate these stairs, and then if we scale it, kind of goes like this. So this is kind of nice. So this is a nice little blueprint. We want to gradually increase these. I wanted to kind of have like stairs kind of going from maybe here to here. I might kind of bring them back. Pop that up there. And then cube. Cool. And if I wanted to go ahead and hit play, just walk up my stairs. I got a little second story here. Cool. All right, now I'm gonna briefly show you guys materials and how to create materials. So we're gonna go to content, and keeping everything organized, we're gonna create a new folder called material. Cool. And then in materials, we're gonna right click, and we're gonna go to new material. And we're gonna call this one basic. Basic master. Cool. So we're going to double click our material, and then I'm going to hit I'm going to hold 3 and then left click, and then I'm going to bring that into my base color, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to convert this to a parameter. I'm going to call this color. Cool. And then I'm also going to I'm going to hold 1 and click. Roughness, I'm going to click this and convert to parameter, and then roughness. Cool. So we're just going to go with these very, very basic ones for now, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to save our master material here, and you can kind of dock that up there. Alright, so let's just use this guy here as an example. So I right click, and I'm going to create a material instance, and we're going to call this blue. And then I'm going to double click this, and then I'm going to enable roughness and color. We're going to make this blue. Save. Oh, there we go. So we got blue. Get a nice bright blue. There we go. And that's a little too shiny for me. So basically, if we have a value of we have a value of 0, it's going to be shiny. If it's going to be a value of 1, it's going to be completely matte. So let's go half happy, and we'll save that. And then basically we just drag and drop that onto there. So that's kind of cool. So what if we go ahead and just, we cannot, basic show material. Oh, there we go. So we can just, oh, I guess it's not going to let us do that. That's so good. Okay, so another really helpful shortcut that I really like. So if I click on my character, if I hit Control and B, it's gonna show where in like the folder structure this thing is. So that to me is like really helpful. So if I Control and B, that's not gonna show, but it's gonna show up here. If I click on my character, he's gonna pop up right here. And then if I hit F, boom, it'll pop back in there. Cool. So another thing I want to show you guys here is just a very quick overview of sequencer here. So we're gonna create a cinematics folder first. I don't think we have one yet, so we're gonna right-click, new folder, cinematics, hop in here, and then we're gonna right-click on this guy. We're gonna add new level sequence. We're gonna put it in our cinematics, and we'll call it level test or level. Cool. Alrighty, and then we're gonna just kind of dock this over here. Content browser. We're gonna just pop over. Let's put it over here actually. So we've got our sequencer here. So if you guys have ever used things like After Effects, that's probably like the best example I can think of. It's a little bit similar to that. So what we want to do is, like, if we want to animate, our scene, animate our cameras, and basically whatever kind of happens in here, this is what is going to be like rendered out, and we can talk about rendering a little bit later. But right now, I just want to show you guys like the very basics. So if we click on our camera, and then we're gonna drag that in here, and then now, for example, if I went to go render this, it would kind of just play this here. So if I click on this, it's going to lock to the camera cuts viewport. So when I play this, nothing's really happening, nothing too exciting, but basically what's happening is our camera here is just kind of stationary. So let's add a transform. So just kind of going over this here. So we have to the front. So now it's like to the front of the timeline. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of start from here, or we'll kind of start from here, and then it's going to kind of come in. So we're going to hit the transform. It's going to start here, and then if you have this highlighted, if I go say to the end, right, and then if I make any sort of camera movement, it's gonna automatically make a key. So I'm gonna hit Control Z. So if I don't like that, and like for example, if I'm gonna move my camera now, the key's not gonna show up. I like having this on. It just kind of saves a lot of time for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn that back on, and then what's going to happen for our, say, first shot is the camera is going to kind of come in really tight to our actor's face. So we're going to go back to the start, and then we hit play, and then we can kind of see it play back here, and boom. So, and then if you want to hit loop, so it's just going to kind of cycle through. So you can kind of like pick out little things. Yeah, so now you guys know how to basically do like a very, very simple blockout. You know how to open up sequencer, and you know how to add a camera. You know how to change the focal length. We can go ahead and you can actually you can animate say the focal length, the aperture. So for example, if we have the focal length at a 50, and then say by the end we want to have the focal length at say 200. That's a little crazy, but if it's going to be like that, we're going to just kind of adjust our camera a little bit. And here you're going to notice that it's so you can see a little bit better. Right here it's like really out of focus. So what we can do is we can actually keyframe the focal length. So I'll teach you guys right now about like focus settings. So here, just a really quick one, we can just use the picker, and you just click on this, and then whenever you click on in the scene, it's going to go to the focus. And what you can also do is use draw the debug plane. So wherever that, yeah, so like right here, this is where the focus is going to be. So we can just kind of turn that off. You can change the color. We could have it as like red or orange or yellow. I'll just keep it the default color here. So we'll turn that off, and then if we pull our camera back, it's going to be in focus. And then just one other thing I'd like to kind of show you guys. So if I hit play, it has like a bit of a curve to it. So very similar to After Effects here. So we got, so here we have like kind of like a gradual like curve. And then what I can do is I can highlight this, and then if you want it to just be very direct and you want it to be like a linear interpolation, it's just going to go from this point to this point. There's not going to be any like a smoothing in it. Sometimes you want it, sometimes you don't. And I'm going to go ahead and save, and then so it's going to be look a little different there. Cool. So we have that. So now what if we want to add like another camera? So if we have our camera kind of coming in like that, and then maybe it's going to stop there, and then we're going to have like another angle maybe to the side. So what we're going to do is on sequencer, two helpful things. If you hold control and you use the scroll wheel up and down, you're going to kind of zoom in and out of your timeline here. And then if you hold shift and scroll up and down, you're going to kind of go to the sides. So that's pretty helpful. All right, so just going to pump this up here. And so this here can also get really, your sequencer can get also really, really messy. So if you're dealing with a ton of animation assets, what I recommend is keeping the same folder structure, which I haven't even done yet, so that's not bad. So what you're going to want to do is, okay, so we have one build, and again, that's like anything that is for the built environment. So any of these walls, all of this stuff here, I'm going to go ahead and throw that into the build folder. That's going to go into cinematics, plane, sphere, all these guys, those can go into build. Two is camera or cinematics. So that's going to be everything like your cameras and your level sequences. It's going to go in there. Three, animation. So that's going to be anything like your characters. I'm just going to put him in there. Lighting, 4. Lighting can kind of go into there. Okay, cool. So now I have build cinematics animation lighting. I've got it nicely organized here. And then over here, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So I'm gonna right click and add folder. One, gonna build. Two, we got cinematics. Oops, I made a mistake. Two, cinematics. I'll just put our one camera there. And then three, animation. Lighting. Okay, cool. So we have our one camera. Oops. No, viewport. So we got our one camera. It's kind of coming in like that. And then what I want to do is I want to actually add a second camera. So I'm going to zoom in using control. Back that up a little bit. And then what I can do is, if I want to add another camera, so I can do, oops, this has to go to cinematics. If I want to add another camera, what I can do is create a new camera. Scene camera actor. Actually, so it would come up here, but that is a possibility, but I don't recommend doing that. I like to kind of create my cameras here, copy. So the reason for that is because then I get camera one and then camera two. Everything's just named properly in order. So I'm gonna go ahead and then throw that into the cinematics folder. Boom, so I got camera one, camera two. All right, I'm gonna get out of this here. And then when I'm gonna pilot my camera. So perspective, camera two. Oh, can't see where I'm going here. All right, I'm getting a little lost here. We got the shot here. And focus. Oh, okay. And now what I want to do, so I've got camera one, and then what I want to do is I want to add my second camera here. Boom, so we got our second camera. And then if I go ahead and play that, and then it's going to go over to our second camera. And let's see, let's just add a little bit of animation to our second camera. So cinematics, let's put it under, so we got camera two. Okay, out to the front. Okay, and then this one here jumps to like this keyframe here. All right, so let's transform. Let's get into our camera actor. So if it does this, just go to default, add viewport, cinematic viewport, and then camera actor. It's kind of weird like that sometimes. All right, so we've keyed it right here. So we're at our start of our second camera, and so we're on second camera here. So what we're going to do is transform. We're going to key that. We're going to go to the end, and then we just want to kind of come in a little bit. we go. Then if I could jump in like this, it's going to go camera 1. I'm just going to kind of come in very slowly for camera 2. Cool. So that's a very basic thing there. All right, so now just for fun, let's bring our character in here. Oh. All right, so we got our character. All right, so we got our character in here, so we're gonna bring him to the front. And so this is where his mark is here. So we want this. All right, so transform. So when this first camera kind of comes in, we want him to be here at this mark. But then maybe he's gonna start kind of back here, right? And so I got that keyed. So if I go ahead and hit play, our character is moving towards the camera, and then we cut over to this one here. And then maybe in this view, he kind of slowly looks towards the camera. So let's try that. So we'll jump to the last key. So I like where he's at now. Yeah, so he's already transformed there. If I go to the end, we're just going to rotate our character, so he's going to look at the camera. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Let's go to the front, play it through. Our character is walking towards the camera. Cut to camera 2, and now he's looking at the camera. And it's just going to kind of loop because we still have it on the loop function. Cool. One last little thing I'm going to show you guys here in this tutorial. I think there was another. I'm going to click on content browser. Let's go on to SuperGrid here. Okay, so if you go into a source and new, there's a lot of these shapes that you guys can kind of play with for your blockout. Got this cool little ring thing here. All right, so another really cool function here with the SuperGrid starter pack. So if you got the SuperGrid box, kind of drag and drop that in, and then it can kind of go side to side here. So that's the SuperGrid box. So and it keeps the grid and everything. So for the blockout, when you're trying to keep everything to scale, this is an excellent tool. So the SuperGrid box, the pivot point is kind of outward, but if you want to have it kind of the pivot point stay in the middle and kind of expands outward, you have SuperGrid box centered. So you can do it this way, and you can kind of come up this way. So it's really good for building floors. I really like this one here. And then the SuperGrid high res. I think that, to my knowledge, is like the same as this one here. I'm not too sure what the difference of that is, but there we go. Yeah, and it for all of these, that kind of keeps the grid. So what you guys will be able to do is, now that you have these tools, these are all the basic primitive tools, what you guys can start to do is just to kind of start to block out some of the scenes. So what you're going to have is you're going to have your storyboards that you guys have created, and then what you can kind of start to do is start to kind of just block out the world that and you can kind of start to kind of play around with some of the camera angles. So yeah, I'd like to just kind of start you guys out with that, and then later we can kind of, in the next lesson, we're going to start kind of decorating this. But I want you guys to get like a good understanding of the fundamentals first. Start to kind of block out your levels, and on this note here, this autosave comes up. I'm not really a big fan, so I'll teach you guys how to disable that. So if you go to Edit, Editor Preferences, autosave, enable autosave, just check that off. But just remember to save every once in a while. Maybe set an alarm on your phones just to make sure you guys keep saving. So yeah, so I think that this is like, I think, a pretty good start for you guys. And then if you guys want to get, if you guys are really really ambitious, what you guys can do is you can actually start to play around with the lighting in your levels. So if I'm just gonna zero out my lighting here, coming towards my guy, and I'm just gonna put in maybe like a point light. I've zeroed out my lighting here. And you go to the details, I'm gonna make this kind of like a colored light, like kind of like a red light. And then I'm gonna hold Alt, I'm gonna drag this over to a red and like kind of like a kind of cool colored light here. All right, cool, so now we've got something to play with here. So now I'm gonna go back to my sequencer, gonna go to my camera cuts, go to the front, and now that's coming in pretty strong. So now we can kind of adjust it here. So maybe it's gonna be 0.1. I just want like a little bit. And then my outliner, it's gonna bring that to 5, kind of bring that down. Oh, that's cool. So now let's just kind of play this, see what this looks like. Cool. So yeah, I hope you guys understood a little bit for this preparation lesson to get you guys started for our class. If you guys have any questions, post it up in the Discord. I'm happy to help. And yeah, I hope you guys have some fun, and really looking forward to what you guys can cook up here in Unreal. So good luck.